You are watching the third part about breaking stigma in living
in large social blocks.
Brussels versus Singapore.
In the previous two episodes, we have stripped the architecture of tall social buildings in these two cities.
Our initial idea is to establish a set of rules and tips of how we can design a nice and decent complex of large housing blocks.
However, in this episode, we'll pay attention to tiny details that may seem tiny but actually are crucial about designing livable social blocks.
Little reminder, we invite you again to check the two previous episodes. Here are the link. And now it's time to strip some architecture.
Tip number 10. Car-free ground floor. Almost all the blocks are divided and disintegrated by these big parking lots. Thought about making the ground floor free from cars, but actually there is a underground garage, and on top of it there is still our parking lots. In Singapore, the social housing blocks have underground parking, and in case the parking is on the ground floor, then for sure you will have to walk a bit until you reach your building entrance. For some that might be seen as a disadvantage, but in this way the designers feel obligated to create animated and lively ground floor. Tip number 11. Wasted space is a public disgrace. Appearance of wasted spaces in an environment that was specifically designed for living gives subliminal message to the residents that their presence around the social housing blocks was ignored and disregarded as a design condition. It's really kind of astonishing how much space is wasted, and I have to show you the sitting places or places for sitting looks like something like this. This is maximum, this should be a bench here. Though the design of the ground floor in Singapore can be improved, especially through a participative process, it is easy to acknowledge that there was extended amount of money, time and attention given to the spatial syntax of the ground level. We can see that there are some wasted spaces that feel like leftover space, but they are definitely more flexible in terms of perception and usage. Tip number 12. Integrated landscape design. When walking around the social housing blocks in Brussels, we get the impression that the buildings are detached from the surrounding. We can obviously see how the landscape design forms its own entity. So really the main question is for who is all of this space over here? On the other hand, in Singapore, they have made an attempt to create certain kind of integrated landscape design that appears like an answer to the built environment. You can see it's a massive kind of a building. It's repetitive structure, very simple, just balconies, but then the tree trunks are quite tall, and then the crown of the tree is just on top of it, and then the open ground floor gives us some more of a porous feeling. The white facade with certain coloration of just pink makes some kind of a feeling that it's like a light structure, it's a light volume. Tip 13. Deliberate open common spaces per floor plan. The social life and human interactions shouldn't happen only on the ground floor, but also within the different levels of the building. In the social housing blocks in Brussels, we see how the building resembles one enclosed box. There aren't any open, semi-open, covered or indoor places that can provide comfortable vertical communication and social connection. And I know there is different cultures of living, but it's just to show that it's possible and it could be nice to live in this kind of a big buildings. As you can see, for example, this balcony here, it has a dead end, so that's a private balcony. But if you go a little bit further, there is the common area of the balcony. So this one balcony, one terrace lodge, or however you want to say it, it has a little bit of a private space, which is the dead end of the balcony, and more of a public area. Tip number 14. Community via safety and public responsibility. Reinforcement of the communal feeling is quite important. It may seem as a detail, but in Singapore there are multiple places in the common areas where you can find calls for public responsibility, emergency explainers in case of danger, instructions for help, tips for avoiding different types of scams, or advice in order to recognize potential crime. These notifications help the citizens to be the actual builders and guardians of their community. Tip number 15. Spaces for rituals and festivals. We highly support the idea that religion is something very private and we should be careful when practicing it in public spaces. However, in Singapore we have seen how certain religious rituals can take ambiguous forms and can act as a holders of different communities. In addition to this, we highly believe that each neighborhood should have flexibly designed spaces that can serve to different communal activities such as festivals, rituals, traditional events, games and sport activities. Unfortunately, we didn't see this in between the social housing blocks in Brussels. Like these little decorations, like a party going on, but they're here for all the time, it's not just for Sunday. Plenty of benches, you can see plenty of benches, and then you see some decorations, some plants over there. There is like smell of fruit and also smell of this like atmospheric burning smelly sticks. Then they also have this kind of elements for collective worship of josi paper. It's some kind of ceremony, religious ceremony and practice they do, but it's about firing certain kind of paper in these pots, in these collective pots, and wherever you see those, it means that people hang around in that surrounding. So it gives you a signal, a sign that this is a communal space. Finally, there's so much to talk about how we can enhance the life around the big social housing blocks. But we probably have to make a whole documentary about it. So before we sign out for today, here is a bonus tip. If you're asking me, I would totally live here. The only thing that bugs me is just the lack of little shops and little bars and little restaurants that should be, I think, more frequent in the corners, in different corners of the buildings. And honestly, I would replace them with the surveillance cameras, which are actually placed there by the police. To change it. The rest, kind of like it. Look, for example, here. This kid seems happy to me.
However, as a quick wrap-up, we'll point out on the most important point.
As you can see it on the screen, there is a general idea that if we design an integral block for living, it means packing it all up in one integral box.
No.
Trick and the real challenge when designing a compact building is how to diffuse the building into the environment and scale it down to a human level. Thank you very much for watching us. Stay tuned, subscribe, share, comment, and don't forget to click the links over here and watch all the episodes as a one continuous show. Bye bye.